Okay, so what we're trying to do here is replace standard S60 steering wheel with a sport steering wheel, which has got some different, it's a thicker steering wheel, it's got some comfort points for your thumbs, it's got a nice little silver trim at the bottom. Alright, first step is to disconnect the battery. And the battery's at 13 millimeter. Plastic cover just comes off with some difficulty. And it's a 10 millimeter. Loosen the negative terminal. Power's off. This is from a 2005, so the cradle with the buttons is a different setup in the 05 Plus than it is in the 01 to 04. So we're going to have to switch the cradle at some point along the ways. But first off, we're going to take the airbag off. So to take the airbag off, what you need to do is, for the 3-spoke steering wheel, there are 2 holes at the back. And what you do is you put something in. I like using this because it's nice and short, so if you're at the rec yard, you have room to put it in even though the steering wheel may be locked, and it can fit in nicely and remove the airbag, or pop the airbag out. So the way you do it is insert a pry tool, and what you want to be doing is pressing this vertical piece inwards. You put it in such a way as to move that piece inwards. Can you get that? Like that. And if you do that on one side, then on the other, the airbag pops right out. If you're in your own vehicle and you do have keys, i.e. you're not at the rec yard, the best way to do this is to unlock the steering wheel and turn it 90 degrees. And that gives you full access to the hole at the top and the hole at the bottom. Well, actually, it gets you access to the hole at the top first. That's one side out. Turn the steering wheel the other way. And you'll see it pop out here. Get it right. Go. This is out, and once those 2 are out, it pulls off. What you'll see underneath are 2 airbag connectors. Press the tabs, and you'll note my battery is out, so there's no risk of the airbag deploying. Press the tab. And here you can see, side by side, 05 to 08, the steering wheel is a male connector, at least the green part is. And then in the 01 to 04, it's a female connector. So you want to take this cradle out and reuse it. And it's 3 T30 bolts. 1, 2, 3. And then you've got I think it's a T20 ground connection down here. You got to take that off too. T20 to remove the ground connection. Just fits in there. Small screw. Don't lose the screw. And once you've removed those 3 items, 3 screws and the ground, the steering wheel cradle with the buttons can come right out. 18 millimeter nut to remove the center bolt on the steering wheel. Again, make sure your steering wheel is absolutely straight before you do this. That's it. Remove it carefully, and as you remove it, this here is the clock spring. Once the steering wheel is off, the clock spring is free to spin in one direction or the other. Try and keep it so that it doesn't spin. if you get in trouble, the clock spring can turn 2.5 ways in one direction, 2.5 ways in the other direction, and typically there's a yellow indicator that shows up in this window if you're exactly in the right spot. So line it up with this little cube, this opening, and that's where it should be to put the new steering wheel on. Now put the new steering wheel on. Again, first step is to slip that clock spring through. And by the way, if you were going to replace your clock spring, you now have full access to it. The only additional steps would be to remove the top cowl and the bottom plastic cowl, and then you can unscrew the clock spring and replace it. Through. Just have to make sure. Now, align the steering wheel nice and straight. Let's see if the alternative is here. That looks better. I think that's where it must have been. All right, worst case, you can adjust it later. Steering wheel is on. Let's put the center bolt on. Let's remove this cradle and replace it with the 01 to 04 cradle.
Go.
First step, take the ground, screw out, tighten it. Take the 3 T30s out. Cradle should come right out. Voila. Wires next, that's the T20. There are two little notches you're supposed to have. You see that, Liam? There are two little notches that you got to orient the ground wire connection between so that it stays stationary. There we go. And then last but not least, you put the airbag back in. Let's do this first. Connect the clock spring back in. Airbag connectors go under this elastic. Not sure why. Airbag gets replugged like this. Come on up here. Okay. Rotate it around. Orient it. Just aim it directly and then press. We're done. Go. Last step. Reconnect the battery, tighten the ground, tighten the, not too tight, but nice and snug. Tighten it, 13. Here's some additional information. If you are looking to upgrade from a 4-spoke steering wheel to the 3-spoke, the only difference is obviously you'll need to procure the parts, the 3-spoke steering wheel, the airbag, and the cage. To remove the airbag on a 4-spoke steering wheel, it is a lot simpler, a lot less problematic anyway. There are 2 Torx bolts that you access. And you simply unscrew the two Torx bolts that are in there at somewhat of an angle, and then the airbag pops right out. And a reminder, disconnect the battery before you unplug the airbag. So I also upgraded the steering wheel on my V70 XC from 4-spoke to 3-spoke R, the R version. And that's the R wheel. It doesn't have the perforated inner leather around the inside of the steering wheel itself. And I am probably going to replace the airbag with a non-R airbag, just because I really don't like the look of that Volvo logo that's missing the blue cover. Our steering wheel is very comfortable.